What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Tiffany, aka theTILAGO. If you're new around here, I talk about all things the faith journey and living in and on purpose. And I'm so excited because today we are talking about how to avoid spiritual amnesia, how to remember who God is and what He has done in your life and in the lives of others around you. And so if you are ready to hear about that, let's get into it. Okay, so we are talking about this topic today because if you watched my last video, I talked about how I had finished reading the book of Deuteronomy, and in every single chapter, I could see how Moses was reminding the people of Israel to remember. That was the main theme that I saw in that book, and I felt like I really wanted to share some practical ways that we can actually remember. In that video, I shared 3 reasons why I feel like it was really important for us to remember. Now, today, I want us to talk about how can we actually practically do that. And so we're going to start out today by talking about a few verses of scripture that are going to help frame and shape the video. Y'all know how we do the verse of the day. And then I will share with you 4 ways that you can practically remember who the Lord is and what He has done so you can avoid spiritual amnesia. So first things first, verse of the day. Meet me in Psalm chapter 77, verse 11 through 12. I'm reading in the ESV, and I think this is going to really help us to just go ahead and frame the video real quick right now. Boom, boom. Whoop-de-whoop. Let's read. I will remember the deeds of the Lord. Yes, I will remember your wonders of old. I will ponder all your work and meditate on your mighty deeds. And so I just love this chunk of scripture because it definitely frames what we're talking about today and gives us like a declaration. It's like us saying, like, if we read this and we, write these words in our heart, we can say, no, I really will be the one to remember the deeds of the Lord. I will remember all of His wonders of old, the things that He's done, time and time again and in the past. I will ponder on your work. I'll sit and I'll think about what you've done. I won't just like breeze over it, look at it and breeze over it. No, I'm going to sit and think about what you have done. And I'm going to meditate on your mighty deeds. Again, I'm going to chew on what have you done and what have I seen you do and how have I seen you show up. I'm going to chew on that so that I can really digest it and really get the fullness of it, right? And so I love this because this is also in the middle of a psalm where a person is really just trying to seek the Lord in the middle of trouble. Like they're not feeling well. They're not doing great, but they are trying to remember who the Lord is. They're trying to strengthen their faith and strengthen themselves. And by the way that they're doing that is trying to remember who He is and what He has done, right? So it's very important for us to do the same and not fall into spiritual amnesia, which is very dangerous when you just fully forget who the Lord is. You forget what He's done. You forget how He's shown up. You forget His character and you just kind of go willy-nilly throughout your life. We can't do that. Okay. We have to be those who will remember, who will continue to keep who He is and what He has done on our mind. And so that again was Psalm chapter 77, verse 11 and 12. Now let's talk about those 4 practical ways that you are going to remember who the Lord is and what He has done in your life. Okay. The first thing that I do in order to remember who the Lord is and what He has done is I journal. Y'all already knew. That's what I was going to say because I absolutely love to journal and I talk about it all the time. So I am somebody who loves to journal just random stuff most of the time. But honestly, y'all, if I look at most of my journals right now, I am writing in them as if I am talking to the Lord. And so it has helped me so much to just kind of have this perspective of like, hey, what has the Lord done today? What has the Lord, how has the Lord shown up for you? Like, write about that, right? And so in those times where, I'm having a good day, or I know I've seen the Lord show up, or I know I've seen Him show up in somebody else's life, or I've learned something new about His character, I'm absolutely journaling about it. I'm absolutely putting it in my journal. And of course, I'm journaling out my feelings and my emotions. So yes, there are the days where I'm like, you know what, Lord, it's actually really hard to see you. And what's been really cool about those days, or when I go back and read those days, is that I realized that as I was processing through those negative emotions, as I was processing through those really hard times or hard days or hard seasons, that towards the end of each of those, entries, I realized like, wait, I processed all the way down and I got to the point to where I realized like God is still good and God is still present and God is still with me and God is still a protector and a provider and He still loves me, the same unconditionally. Like, it's just so amazing to go back and see those things and to help me to remember who He is and what He has done. And so if you are not somebody who journals, I really encourage you to do so. I absolutely love this journal right here. There are about 4 or 5 different colors. This is my journal from Grit and Virtue. I talk about it a lot on this channel, but I just love this journal. I just think it's it's a beautiful journal. There's again, so many different colors. I've got, I think, all of them. And I've written in all of them. I'm coming up on the end of this one and I just ordered another one. In a past lifetime, I did sell journals that might come back, but for now I love the Grit and Virtue journals. So it doesn't matter what kind of journal you get. I've had journals from Target, from Walmart, from Amazon, from wherever, but it's just a space for me to be able to go and write things down. So you need a journal. I'm just going to tell you that you need a journal. You need a way to process. You need a way to journal. So maybe you're journaling in something like that. Maybe you're journaling digitally. Maybe you're somebody who loves to write on your iPad or whatever, like journal digitally. That's fine. Or maybe you're somebody who says, I don't really love to write, but I'll talk it out. So maybe you do voice notes. That's the way that you journal. Voice note yourself every single day, or the days that God really shows up in the way that you or the days that you see his character, right? So however it is that you need to do that, like I really encourage you to journal, because you keep record of what he has done. You keep a record of what he has done, so that on the days where it is hard, or on the days where you're just like, I just want to hear how you've shown up, Lord, in my life, and be reminded of how you've shown up and what you have done in my life, then you get to go back to those things that you have already recorded. So I absolutely 100%, 125% recommend you to journal if you are trying to remember who the Lord has been and what he has done in your life. I want to shout out one of my good girlfriends, because on her channel, she just went back through some of her old journals, and it was just such an encouraging video. I know that all the things were probably more encouraging to her, but they were so encouraging to me to hear her read about, and to hear her just to hear where she was and where she is now, and to hear her talk about it was just like really, really beautiful. And so I believe that if you're somebody who's like, I don't know if journaling is really going to help me, I really encourage you to go watch her video. Her channel is called Tahari Talks. I'm going to plug her and put it down below. I'm going to put it up on the screen, all the different things, so that you can go and watch that video too, so that you can see just how powerful it is to journal. So again, that is the first way that you are going to remember who the Lord is and what he has done. Okay, the second way that you are going to remember who the Lord is and what he has done is you are going to keep a gratitude jar. You're going to go get yourself a jar or something that you can put stuff in, and you're going to make that your gratitude jar. Now, I have not been the best with keeping up with this. I'm not going to lie, but this lives in my prayer closet right now. And this is a spot where I will come and put sticky notes each and every day. Now, I was trying to do this each and every day 1 year. I maybe need to just try to start it now again. But I would come in and I would write down a sticky note of like, what was the one thing that you were most grateful for today? What was the one thing that God did for you today? So this is a form of journaling. If you're like, I don't know if I'm gonna write a whole page of journaling, but I can give you one sticky note. I can give you one little thing. Then maybe a gratitude jar is more your speed, right? And so I would come in here, I would, again, write down something I'm grateful for, write down one way I saw God show up today, and I'd throw it in this jar. And then at the end of the year that I did this really well was amazing. But at the end of the year, end of the months, or whatever I wanted to do, I put, dump all of them out, and then I read how he showed up. And I'd be like, whoa, wait a minute. I didn't even realize I wrote all of this. I didn't even remember he did that, but it reminds me because I'm able to look in this jar. And so if you need a way, a simple way, an easy way to just remember who the Lord is and what he has done, then grab yourself a gratitude jar. This jar specifically has a very funny story behind it. I'm not going to tell it right now, but with two of my best friends. So when they see it, or if they see this, they'll be like, what? But this jar came from like TJ Maxx or something like that, TJ Maxx, Target, something like that. So you can just grab something really cheap, like $10, $5, whatever, dollar store, okay? Or you can use a shoebox. Like, I don't care what you use, just use something so that you can keep like record of the moments that you were grateful for, the moments that you saw God. And then these will help you to remember. These will help you to get rid of and avoid spiritual amnesia in your life. And so again, you can use it as like, I'm going to put stuff in here and then read them every single month, or I'm going to read them back every quarter. I'm going to read them back every year, whatever it is you want to do, whenever or however many times you feel like you need to read it. Especially it helps you on the days where you're just down, or when you like just can't see past the hard times that you're in the middle of. These really have helped me in moments like that, right? So I would definitely recommend the second thing that you do if you're trying to remember who God is and what he has done, to grab yourself a gratitude jar. Okay, the third way that you're going to remember who God is and what he has done is you're going to get yourself an answered prayer jar. Now, I know some of y'all are like, I know she don't got 2 jars. I do. Okay. And they both live in my prayer closet, but this one I feel like is very significant. So honestly, I got this. It's a vase from Target. And I honestly got it for flowers, okay? But I loved how it's gold. And I was like, ooh, I know that in Revelation, it talks about a gold basin. And so I was like, oh, I'm for sure getting this, and I'm using it for my answered prayers. And so how I use this one is kind of similar to the gratitude jar, but a little bit less frequent am I putting stuff in here. So I'm writing down the prayers. The way that I write down prayers, especially in my prayer closet, is I write them down on sticky notes or on note cards, and I put them up on the wall so that I can remember to pray for them. And then when I know that they are answered, when I come in there and I'm like, oh my God, this one is answered, then I fold it up and I throw it in here. And then same thing, I choose a time, maybe it's at the end of the month, maybe it's at the end of the year. Most of the time, these are at the end of the year, where I come back in here and I read the prayers that God has answered, and it reminds me of his works. It reminds me of his goodness. It reminds me of his kindness and his faithfulness towards us, right? And so they can be prayers that I pray for other people. They're prayers I pray for myself, prayers I pray for the world, whatever it is. If I put it in here, I'm like, God has answered this and I need to be reminded of it. And it just helps me again to stay away from spiritual amnesia. And so if you're somebody who is trying to keep record of your prayers, maybe you're trying to keep note of like, did God answer this, or when did God answer this? Then you can also make sure that, and I do this too, make sure that you write down the date that you wrote the prayer and the date that he answered it, just because it doesn't even have to be a matter of like, oh, he answered it this fast or this slow or whatever, but it's a matter of you keeping a record of it. So I'd really encourage you, if you do not already have one of these, grab yourself a jar, a vase, whatever. Like I said, go to the dollar store, decorate it however you want to, whatever you need to do. Okay. Just grab you something that you can make a prayer or answered prayer jar. And I believe that this is really going to bless you and really going to help you to remember who the Lord is and what he has done in your life. All right. That last way, the fourth way that you are going to remember who the Lord is and what he has done in your life, is you are going to tell people about what he has done. I know I also said this as one of the most important reasons that we need to remember, but I believe it is also the very practical thing that we can do in order to remember. Because y'all, when you tell people about stuff, like when you're retelling the story and recounting the moments that he has shown up for you, the moments that he has come through for you, or whatever it is, like it just really does something to you. And it also increases something in the person. It increases a faith and a wonder and an awe and a reverence in the person that you are also talking to. And so I just believe that in order to remember, one of the main ways that we can do that is to speak it out loud. Speak about what he has done. Talk about the things that he has done in your life. Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. Be more bold about talking about the Lord. I said it in the last video. I pray that this generation would be more bold about talking about Jesus and not be those who are timid about it, who shy away from talking about it, or who, who are just intimidated by talking about it. Like, no, like talk about the Lord. Okay. Tell people about the Lord. Tell people about his goodness. Tell people about what he has done. Like the whole Bible, we see different people going and telling about him. We see when Jesus does miracles, right, in the Gospels, he's like, don't go tell nobody. But the people are like, how can I not tell anybody? Like, what do you mean? Right. And so they immediately leave him and they go tell people. They're like, this is who did this. And this is what he's done for me. He's healed me. He has done this miracle in my life. And y'all, I just believe that if we are really trying to see miracle signs and wonders again in this life, and we're trying to have a perspective of seeing miracle signs and wonders, then we've got to tell other people about God. We got to talk about him, y'all. And so I just believe that now's the time to talk more about the Lord. It helps you to remember, absolutely, to remember who the Lord is and what he has done, but it also helps other people to remember who he is and what he has done, right? On those days where they really need it. I've seen the encouragement that I've needed on the days where I'm like, I'm really down. I'm really not feeling it. I'm really not here for it. And then somebody tells me about how he's shown up in their lives and I'm like, okay, Jesus, and it just increases my faith and increases my hope. It increases my joy. And so I just really encourage you to be somebody who talks more about the Lord in this next year, in this next season. Like, talk about him. And if you need to practice, talk to yourself. Okay. Like I said earlier, use them voice notes or whatever, but look in the mirror and talk to yourself about what God has done so that you can increase that faith and increase your confidence in talking about him. But man, he's so good. He's so good. How could you not talk about what he has done? How could you not tell people of his goodness, right? And so I just believe that is one of those main ways that we get to remember, is by retelling. It's something that happens in the brain as you tell a story, right? And you tell about something and you keep retelling it and retelling it and retelling it. And I believe God continues to show up, like, even in you telling it. And so that's just the fourth way that I believe we can remember who God is and what he has done. Okay, y'all, that's it. Those are the four ways that you are going to remember who the Lord is and what he has done, the ways that you are going to avoid spiritual amnesia. And I really do pray that you got something out of this video, as I do every single video. I pray that this encouraged you. I pray it made you feel like, oh, I can do those things. Those are really simple, practical things that I can do. Listen, I can't do a whole bunch of complicated things. Okay. So I'm not going to share a whole bunch of complicated things with you. So these are very simple things that I've incorporated into my everyday life that are able to help me to remember who God is. And so I just encourage you to adopt one of these, or maybe if you have another one, drop it down in the comments below. Let me know if there's one that you already use or one that you're going to pull from this video to try to use in your life in the coming weeks or whatever. Please let me know. I'd love to hear it. If you enjoyed this video, definitely hit that thumbs up button. Let me know that you liked it so I can make more content just like this, okay? And then absolutely share this with anyone who you think needs to be reminded of who God is, who you think needs to have a reminder of how to remember who God is. Then definitely share this with anyone that you know. And then absolutely, if you have not already, you definitely need to subscribe, okay? Like, join the family so you don't miss anything else here on the channel. I talk about the Lord in so many different ways, so many different facets. That is what he has brought me here to do. So that's what I'm going to keep on doing if I can get my words out. But anyway, I'm really, really thankful that you came and watched. I cannot wait to see you in the next video. So bye.